Hi everyone, so I'm Raphaelle and I'm CRM Manager at BlaBlaCar. Today I want you to leave this keynote with two things that I'm going to share with you. So first, some AI application that we've been working on and that worked for us that all of your companies are concerned about. You'll see why. And I will tell you as well why I'm so excited of working with AI on my daily job and to convince you as well. So first, BlaBlaCar, that's the world's biggest ride-sharing community on long distances. So we connect people that are seeking to travel together with drivers going the same way on an average trip of 330 kilometers. So they travel together and they share the cost. So our community has grown incredibly. So we started in 2006, and our very exponential growth started with our fundraising in 2011. And right now we have 60 million users on the platform, and it's growing every month. So you can imagine the wealth and the complexity of our database that we have to manage. And we are over 22 countries, so luckily that's the gray one that you can see. So all over the world, and behaviors of those users are totally different. So that's also changing the way we are doing marketing. So today I will drive you through the customer journey that we are having in the marketing team and in CRM. And the first step will be acquisition. So most of you, almost 100% of you are concerned about it. So here's Susan. That's one of our valuable drivers. She's traveling almost every weekend to see her family living 3 hours away from her. And so we were asking ourselves, how can we get more drivers like her, more valuable drivers? So we needed to first find their common behavior that those valuable drivers are, and in order to cluster them into groups and tailor a strategy for each of those groups. So what we found out with machine learning was interesting. Here is Susan again, but among the rest of the drivers. On the vertical axis, you have who is traveling and why. So for example, passionate students going for surfing during the weekend or a soccer competition, for example. And on the horizontal axis, how do they travel, So are they planning their trip well in advance, or is it very last-minute trips? And the color represents their value. So the darker, the biggest value they have, right? So before clustering, we were not that much differentiating the different messages for acquisition. So for our ads, it was roughly, okay, so you can share the cost of your trip and go for ride sharing. And with clustering, we've been able to definitely realize that we should differentiate the messages around our user when we wanted to acquire more, like the one that had the most of the value. So thanks to this learning, so it's due to clustering for the machine learning, we've been able now to differentiate our messages for acquisition, and typically we've been creating some relatives or passion advertising on social media or TV that permitted us to increase our market penetration. So that was an example of acquisition. For us at BlaBlaCar, it's for the driver here in particular. The second step in our customer journey is on the passenger side. So here's Luisa, and she's looking for a ride to go to Madrid. So among the hundreds of possibilities that every day there are on BlaBlaCar, how can we help her to find the most convenient ride according to her? So for her in particular, that's her search results. And you absolutely can't see it, but I'm going to tell you that if we see here, there should be a best ride flag. And so search optimization is a great playground for supervised learning in machine learning, and that's exactly what we did. So we took the time to analyze the most impacting variable for our user when they are searching for a ride. And there's 4. There's a pickup point, the drop-off point, the hour, and the price. And so we trained our algorithm on a trip recommendation in order to propose the most convenient ride for her according to her search results. And then she has the choice to follow or not our recommendation. One thing we learned as well on this exercise was the fact that, and I think it's interesting for you as well, is that investing in machine learning also means that you have to invest in user interface, because the one does not go without the other. Meaning that you can build the strongest algorithm if in front your client doesn't understand what you're talking about, it's a fail. So really, working hand in hand with a user interface is super important. A last step that I will share with you today on the customer journey is retention. So that woman is a bit like me when I'm looking at my BlaBlaCar members. So she's trying to pick up some signals, and before investing into machine learning, I was asking myself, so at one point they're stopping to use the platform, and we were just like, where are they? What are they doing? Why don't they come back again on the platform? And so the thing is, we call this user churning users. So meaning like they're starting to churn. But when does we really know that a user starts to stop using the platform? So that's the exercise we did with our data scientist. And so here is our real recency frequency matrix that we were using. So it's well known in the segmentation. And so that's our different segments. And the red line, so the color represents the churn probability. So when it's red, they are churning. And the red line, horizontal one, meant in our old CRM program, the start of it. So sending emails, push notification to those guys, because we were guessing that they were starting to churn. And that's the reality. So definitely, we realized that we were totally wrong. We needed to go way faster and plugging our CRM retention program on the user, because they are all acting differently, and we should have been user-based. So we plugged our program on it, so permitting to have really, according to each user, a probability, 40%, 50% starting to go into a program. And so it permitted us to detect sooner, most of the time, and more precisely when a user was starting to churn. And also, one thing in terms of data that we realized is like it permitted us to increase our activity by 10%. So for a retention program, it's quite huge, considering that those users would left, and we were guessing maybe a 5, hopefully. So really, like, it improved our performances. We don't see at all. There's a hand shaking on it. Just to introduce the other project that we're exploring with machine learning. So for example, this quarter, we're testing for people that we know the probability to travel in the next 15 days. Among them, if we push them if we incentivize them to travel with a newbie driver in order for the newbie driver to faster into the community and create a strong relationship with the brand. So that was the part regarding the application at BlaBlaCar to give you an idea and some elements to go back, work, and maybe discuss with your team. That worked for us, so I hope it will work as well for you. And the second part of this keynote was about why AI is so exciting. That's my vision. Happy to discuss with you guys afterwards. The thing is, most of the time, and me included, I spent a lot of time on performance optimization, A/B testing my campaigns, making sure that if I have the knowledge that the channel email or push notification is working the best, I will apply it to the whole database. When we are always saying, oh yeah, but we have to be user-based, so the channel for each user should be different. And so what I think is super interesting with AI is that if you leverage AI, that will permit to leave you the complexity behind and to really focus on what matters. And so for me, it's like AI is more for optimization so artificial intelligence for optimization, when human intelligence is really for strategy. So what I mean by that is that you'll be able to really focus on what matters. So it's focusing on the strategy and project prioritization. For now, as of 2018, it's still us doing it, as well as brand consistency via empathy and creativity. And these two things, so strategy and brand consistency with the different players on it, are really here to help you nurture your AI with the relevant asset. But as of today, that's still us doing it, and that's why I think it's super exciting, because you really let the time of optimizing to the machine, and you are spending time on what really matters, sorry. And for me, it's like having this kind of a person at the end of the journey that is having the best experience with BlaBlaCar. Thank you.